one more student with us. Tekclasses informed me. I think I can see her online. Shivani, right?
Hello?
Shivani, can you hear me? Yeah, Shivani, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. So, Shivani, can you just introduce yourself, like in terms of, what kind of technologies you have worked before and your experience and what is your expectation and all out of this?
Actually, I have been working here in US for 7 years in healthcare. My most recent project was in ETL testing at the university. It was only for 3 months, so that's why I'm trying to actually find a company that can show me on real-time scenarios how to do the ETL testing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Yeah. So we have just started this course last week, and until now we have almost 70 to 80% completed the theoretical part, which says the concepts, including what ETL testing is, what data warehouse concepts are, right, and a little bit I'll cover today, and practical also we are going to. The plan is to start from today itself, and then. It's in a phased manner, right? We will first try to cover the SQL, which is required. Then we will go to the real-time ETL testing scenarios, because that SQL knowledge is definitely required there. Okay, so when we try to test all the SQL, all the ETL scenarios with respect to the SQL, so that knowledge is required. So it's not only the ETL testing scenarios which you have to concentrate. There are other lot many things which are required for a ETL project. Okay, ETL testing project. So definitely yes, all the scenarios would be practical scenarios from the real-time projects on which I have worked. So same test plan, same test strategy, test data preparation, test cases, everything would be shared. All the documents would be shared, and everything will also perform on the database, right? So, Yuvraj Srinivas, sorry, I could not send the documents to you yesterday. I sent today morning. You got it, both of you, right?
Yeah, received, Manish.
Okay, fine. So today we will see a couple of documents on different types of ETL testing, and then we will jump on to the SQL. Okay. Just a second, I'll share my screen now. Okay, so this screen is visible, right?
Yeah, Manish.
Okay, good. So we'll see on a high level as of now. This won't be in terms of the actual test case or at query level, but what kind of different testings we perform. Okay, so what is the actual meaning when someone will ask you to design a test plan? In that you have to completely outline what would be your test strategy, what different kind of functionalities or different type of testing you are going to perform in this project. So based on the requirement, you have to cover some specific. Say generally functional testing will always be there in a ETL project. Okay, so if there is anything new, that is functional testing. Okay, on a high level. Then if there is a small change in the existing, the regression testing will be there. So these two go hand in hand, functional and regression. Apart from that, we have, we also give the term like, integration testing. So there are different components in ETL like staging area, there is a data warehouse, there is data mart, and there are, other downstream systems which are directly dependent on the warehouse from where they take the data. Okay, so all that connectivity works fine or not. Okay, so there is a window of say 24 hours, in which your one workflow runs in Informatica, loads the data. In next 1 hour, the data should go to the downstream system. So that integration you have checked or not. So all these test cases will come into integration testing. So this is a good document. So we'll just go through this. So we won't go through line by line. I'll just share it with you after the class. You can always read it and come up with any doubts. So we'll just see the main highlights of this. So see, different types of testing. Okay, this diagram we will focus on. First is unit testing. Okay, so unit testing is something which a developer does, right? We all are from testing background. We know what the definition of unit testing is. So in terms of our data warehousing or ETL test project, what is the expectation from development team is that at least they have run their ETL code, that it should run end to end without failure, no matter it's loading incorrect data, and at least test it with 50 to 100 records if possible, and try to document that in defect management tool. At times in QA, when you are unable to, your job fails, that is the prime important point here. So if your ETL job is failing, it's not loading, so at least you will not waste time on debugging the entire code, why it is failing, what would be the problem. So because it will kill, you have very limited time in QA, always remember that in any project you will not get much time to explore things. So at that time, you can, as a process, you can straight away ask them the unit testing results. Okay, you can write a mail to development team, show me your unit testing results, whether you have done it or not. In that case, you can always escalate. So those are the tricks to buy more time for testing. Otherwise, they will ask you, okay, your entire day you did not do any testing because your data did not load. Okay, so such kind of things they do in the unit testing. They'll at least make sure every job, every Informatica workflow, or every mapping they have developed, they should at least run from source to target. Then it's loading correct or not. Obviously, in 100 records or 50 records, you cannot test it. You should have a huge volume. That is why we go in for complete system integration testing. So that is the first phase. Unit testing is over now. Then comes your code migration stage. Okay, so there is also a code migration testing. It's not written here, but I'm just telling you practically how does it work. Okay, so once your unit testing is complete, there is a code handover meeting. That is what next happens. So in that they will just explain these are the these many jobs we have developed and what would be the different location. Just give me a minute. I will share another document, a deployment guide for your better understanding. Just give me 1 minute. So guys, you see this Excel sheet in front of you, right? Yeah, it's visible, no? Okay, I'll share the entire screen now for my desktop.
Yeah.
Laptop. Okay. So yeah, we were talking about the code migration phase, right? So how do you migrate the code? You should have a document for that. Generally, that document is called deployment guide. Okay, so all the deployment steps will be there. So this document will further get updated. See, initially dev to QA, fine. Then from QA to prod. Even the production team, when you actually run your code in production, when you go live, there has to be a complete step-by-step document. They are business users. They are not technical people. So you have to completely spoon feed them how to run the code in production. Same way in QA, you also expect from dev team to provide all the paths and everything. Which job? See, ETL jobs are all about scheduling, in which manner they should run, which table will get loaded first, which portion of the data model will get loaded first. So the scheduling plays a very important part. Okay, the sequence of jobs is where your actual outcome will be. So that sequence of jobs you will completely get from the development team. So in this diagram, see, this is what happens. There would be a code migration meeting between development team and testing team, and in that they will produce you. This is sample document from one of the AT&T project. So see, you see here there are so many tabs. Okay, we'll just I'll show you one by one. Okay. So this is approvals version history. So who are the team who will actually approve this kind of document? So there is a Teradata. This was project was into Teradata. So there is a TDBA, Teradata DBA. Okay. So all the DBAs will be there because DBAs are the one who have actually published the your tables and everything, and then only you can run the jobs. Then there would be definitely the development team, and so there would be one executive from the deployment team. Then you can have just a theoretical tab called of what would the purpose of it. Okay, who all did modified it. So all that history will maintain. These are need not to be necessary in all the projects. Since this was a very big project, so most of the things were very much a part of a very solid process in that project. Then again, you need to have the context of all the important persons involved in your project, whom you have to contact on a regular basis. You should know your development manager, on-site, offshore, both. Okay, you should have your deployment team. Teradata DBAs are required, because if something fails, something happens. Even there are many times security issues for tables. Okay, the table is locked. You cannot access it in QA environment, and this is not even a mistake of DBA, because see, there are hundreds of tables. They may forget to give access to a particular table. Sometime happens. So these are the kind of smoke testing you will do. I'll cover that part also. So you should have contacts of everyone. So that's why the point is here. The Teradata DBA is there, Teradata development people, and then development associates, and then this is build business intelligence data warehouse. So big testers are there. Then QC is there. Okay. So I was the part of testing team there. So my name was here. I would be the responsible if the business user asked about the progress or any doubts. Okay. Likewise, it's just a context. Then Teradata DBA checklist. Then again, you will have your what objects needs to be deployed. Okay, this is at a high level. This is not at a particular job level. So the example here is what all the tables would be part of it. So we have some staging tables. Then all the other tables are some global temporary tables are there, and what all the different tables, impacted tables as part of this release of project will be there. What all different databases are involved. Okay, so there would be different schemas. These are basically schemas. There would be in staging area, other areas. There could be multiple staging also on in data warehousing projects. So this is that. Then this tab. So before you set your environment, okay, whether it's QA or whether it is production later on, there are some, pre-activities you may have to do. Okay, so just like for example, for this project, I'm taking an example. You need to check first of all whether the secured file transfer protocol connection (SFTP) connection exists between. These are the two servers, between these two servers, because there would be some file transfer between these two servers. Remember, most of the times everything would be on Unix, so all these are Unix-based commands: SFTP and FTP file transfer. There is a get command, GET, mget command. So Unix, as I promised, I will cover in a separate session. Only the important commands later. Then these are the different activities how you are going to do. So it will be huge. That's what I told. If you get the chance to set up the QA environment, that is going to be the most challenging task, rather than your actual SQLs writing and testing. Setting the environment is the toughest job, especially in big projects. So anyhow, okay, do they have Unix in every project? Mostly yes. You in say big projects, you will get, see, that is the whole purpose. The other operating systems, they cannot handle that much huge databases. Especially like, see, this AT&T AT&T is like Airtel of India, right? It's the biggest operator in United States. So you cannot even imagine the volume of data, how much they are processing. So it's the second largest warehouse in the world after Walmart. So only Unix servers can handle that much. And Teradata is the finest, in terms of data warehousing. So that's why they have kept Teradata. So mostly you will find this kind of combination. And Teradata load scripts, which are there, generally like mload, multi-load, fast load. These kind of scripts are nothing, they are SQL scripts, but they will be wrapped in a shell script. So that's why the Unix knowledge becomes essential. Like I would say 60 to 70% you will get a chance to work with Unix in data warehousing project. If there are tools like Ab Initio, which is very popular tool for core banking projects, and it's the costliest of all the ETL tools, I would say, in terms of licensing. So that tool works with Unix only. Okay. So if you talk about Microsoft SQL Server complete suite, so Microsoft sells their complete package, right? They sell their tool SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services, ETL tool, SSAS reporting tool, Microsoft SQL Server, their data warehouse, or their database which they use for data warehouse also. Okay, so then generally with Windows or Microsoft tools, you may not get a flavor of Unix to work with. Okay, that all would be simple. But in terms of other data warehouse, like Teradata, Informatica, which has the maximum market share, Ab Initio, together these three, I would say they will cover, nowadays 60 to 70% of the entire data warehousing projects in the world. These three tools: Teradata, Informatica, Ab Initio. Okay, and to some extent data stage also, you will find Unix. Other tools remains are Microsoft tool SSIS, which is less popular. Okay, depends on the budget. It's doesn't require that huge budget, so low cost. Some clients go for that initially. Apart from that, SaaS tools are there, which are also just gaining popularity nowadays, but not very successful, less market share. Okay, so this would be the different steps, how you can try to start your deploying. So step by step they will project, but these are not straightforward steps that you read it and do it. So you have to do a lot of maneuvering in terms of scripts and all. Then objects. By objects we mean what all different mappings, if Informatica is involved, Teradata is involved, so definitely there would be some Teradata scripts. See, remember this thing, generally in a project you will find Informatica and Teradata both, or Teradata with one ETL tool you will find, okay, if your warehouse is in Teradata. So Teradata has very powerful utilities in loading data, but generally those utilities are used from stage to Teradata. From source to stage you will almost never find Teradata utilities. So there one ETL tool is required. Most probably it's going to be Informatica. In this project, it was Informatica and Teradata both. Okay, you can have ab initio and Teradata. The next project I'm going to work, I have ab initio as the ETL tool and Teradata as the warehouse for a banking project. So likewise, the ETL tool could be different. Data stage can be there. So in this project, what we were doing, we were using Informatica till from Oracle was the source. Staging was also staging was Teradata. So from Oracle to Teradata, we were using Informatica. Okay, and from staging till actual warehouse, or I would say the star schema, the dimension tables, we were using the Teradata utilities. So you see here different objects. We have Informatica objects. Okay, so these are all so what is this? The type M. This is mapping. This is session. This is workflow. Okay. Then these are the shell scripts. So shell script is a Unix script, executable script, which there would be, it depends what kind of shell you are using in your project. Mostly it's K shell, KSH. So KSH -X and you'll write the script name, it will execute. So these scripts, if you see this notation here, it says .tpt.ctl. It's a control script, some control tables are there, and it's .tpt. TPT is Teradata Parallel Transporter. So it will have multiple scripts, multiple SQL scripts. Okay. So see, in internet you can search how to run a SQL in Unix script. You will get some example. How to make SQL executable with Unix. So it's simple. Just the starting of the script and end of the script would have some Unix syntax. Inside that, it will be complete. It will be your complete SQL query. Okay, so then again, Informatica, what is what? Okay, what are your targets? What is your source? Okay, what are your different mappings involved, sessions involved? What is the location of the server from where you have to do? See, this deployment guide, which we are seeing right now, this is the tab which is important for QA team. Rest all is required for your information, but this is where you have to start SQL and other Unix scripts. So these are the name of these scripts now. So see, this is one of the very detailed deployment guide I have seen in my many projects across which I have worked. Very systematic. Okay, there are so many control scripts. These are all Teradata scripts. So see, to load the fact table, we have fact load. Okay, this is one dimension table. So there are so many things. So all the scripts are mentioned. Who is the developer? The name is mentioned. Whether the script is new or you have done some modification from the previous script. So this is new script. So complete functional testing. What is the location of unit tested code? So definitely these scripts simply they should not fail in QA. If they simply fail, it will get escalated on development team that why you have not tested, why you have not done the unit testing on it. This is the path T1 CDW1C3. This is a Unix server. The directory is /home/the ID of developer /R2. That was the kind of project name. Then CTL. Then executable scripts will always be there in bin. Bin directory in the Unix is meant for executable files. This is control file. Target location for production to be decided. As of now, we have not decided for system testing or location. They don't know because QA team is the one who has to fill this thing. Once you completely migrate the code, you can fill it. Because always remember, whatever you do in unit test, in some projects UAT will not be there. So like in this project, UAT was not there. System testing was being done directly from the production data. There was no need of UAT testing. So whatever you test, the final script which actually perfectly loaded the data and tested all your test cases fine, successful, you have to give the path of QA here. From here only the production team will take the final script. Because see, you raise it, see this is the script, say for example this is the script, update status code. This script have a defect. You will raise a defect, developer will fix the defect, he will keep the script again at the same location, you will again migrate it. but that script this on day 1 is not the same on say day 15. So you have to give the path of QA. They cannot take it from here. So target location for production move, this is for production server. BSPRD is production. Okay. Production team will have it there. Let them keep it wherever they want. We are not concerned with that. Ideally, the structure of the directories, generally we give it a replica in QA. If production is like .op.app something, we will try to give it like this. We will try to create these directories on Unix server almost same in QA. So another point I was saying is that, see, you can see the number of scripts, how many are there? There are lot many. Okay, there are KSX scripts, okay, which are directly loading, the target table. There are some master entry files, there are some parameter files, there are one-time scripts. BTEX scripts. BTEX is basic Teradata query. So it's all again an SQL. That's a command line for SQL we call BTEX. So this is, can you guess how much time we got to test this thing? Hardly 3 weeks of testing. Hardly 3 weeks of time we got to do this. So this is just a small module in a very big project which is going, a very big data model. From in that data model, some particular tables are impacted. So every company does a lot of business in different areas. Okay, so it's a telecom company. So it's also doing a lot of business. So there are a lot of tables. You will find a lot of tables related to their finance, their revenues from wireless, revenues from their telephones or their standard prepaid, postpaid. So this is, I'm giving an example of telecom. So in data model, you will find all kinds of fact tables and dimension tables. In that in this particular quarter, there would be impact somewhere. Okay, you will get only those portions. So 3 weeks, it's very, very less time, I would say, because almost around more than a week will go to set up the environment itself. It's not that it is easy to run all those scripts very successfully in QA. There would be a lot of errors. And then you will get the actual time to test, hardly 1 week of time. So anyways, this is a deployment guide. That's how it will look. And that will give you, more a feel like of the real project, how you are going to do it. Okay, so coming back to our document. Okay, so that is code migration testing. You have to write code migration mandatory test cases. Okay. Even somebody else is doing migration. See, there are 2 categories of test cases to start with. First, code migration test case. Second, code execution test case. Whether your migration is successful. Second, whether your execution is successful. Third category will come functional test cases. Whatever the new functionality is implemented, what are the new tables are there or new columns which are added to existing table, that functional testing you will there. Okay, so you will have test cases for every column or every table involved. Fine. Then we have some standard test cases for ETL testing, universal test cases which we have to check, like table structure, count, duplicate check, primary key, foreign key check, and then business logic. Okay, so these are kind of mandatory test cases which we have to do for all the tables which are impacted. After that, you have to do the regression testing. Okay, then there would be some downstream system to which you are sending the file. So you will check the quality of that file, the format of that file is matching or not. So it depends what all the, so those would be your category of test cases. What type of testing you will be there? Code migration, code execution, and then functional regression. So this all will become part of your nothing but integration testing only. So do all programs run together? Do they pass on the right data to each other? Do the job stream run without crashing? This is very important because workflows will take a lot of time. It runs for 2 hours, it will fail in 3rd hour. You're completely 3 hours gone if it do that. Okay, and it does happen. 2 or 3 hours is very less. The workflows take around 10 to 12 hours also. It may fail at the 11th hour. Your complete 1 day is gone. So it's very important to test it. And then regression testing. Okay. So regression testing, your code is already running fine in production. Okay. you just modified some of the tables as part of your new project. You added 2 columns in an existing table. So you have to make sure that, like there are say 50 columns, okay, in your table. You added 5 more columns as part of your new project. Those 50 columns are already very well tested in your production. They are running fine, no issues with business. But when you are adding data to that table by adding 5 new columns, there are chances that data may get corrupt in other 5 columns, other 50 columns. So you have to be very sure about it. You have to take a backup of that table from the production data. Okay. Using the same data, you will run the new ETL code. The new ETL code will publish the new table first with extra 5 columns. Then you have to do a minus query between these 2 tables with respect to the old 50 column. That should give you 0 record. Obviously, there are complex business rules involved. You cannot test all those 50 columns again. In one shot, you will test. That is kind of the regression strategy you will prepare. So as a tester, what you have to think, how will I get my data? I have to take the backup before my testing starts. Do I have that much space in my QA? Is DBAs are available? DBAs, remember, that is very high responsibility job in the IT industry. They may not have time, and in ETL projects, you have to work very closely with database administrators. They are the one who will give you access. They are the one who will tell you the space is there or not. They are the one who will create schemas. They are the one who will take backup for you. As a tester, you will only have select access. Forget about anything else. In database, except select queries, you cannot do anything because all your data retrieval, all your testing are select queries only. In QA, here and there, they may give you insert, update, delete option just for particular schemas where you can modify and run your jobs and load the data. Even mostly that is also difficult. Okay, so DBA's help is very much required in your day-to-day activities. Then you have performance testing. So performance testing on a high level, generally it is a separate module altogether once your main ETL testing activities project is complete. But at times you may have the performance test cases to also be executed. So what basically you will check is there is always a predefined time. This particular workflow, this particular loading of the fact table should take this much time. Okay. Sometimes if it takes long time, so you have to analyze the entire code. So there are particular tips how to do performance testing. You have to see all the joins. In relational databases, you have a thing called explain plan. How the particular SQL is retrieving the data is what you have to see. There are called hashing algorithms are there. Okay, but you need not to go into that much detail. You will just simply check some of the filter conditions. Like see in SQL queries, the where clause should immediately come. Okay, from after from. Then you should have anything joins or group by, and then so whether they are in systematic way or not. So performance tuning here is more of SQL tuning. How you can tune your SQL. Okay. And obviously, what is the expected time of a workflow? You have to match with that, whether it's taking exactly this much time or not. A small here and there, half an hour up and down is okay, acceptable. Then acceptance testing is nothing, it's your UAT, user acceptance testing, UAT. Okay, mostly it will be there in the project. Sometimes that they don't keep it, it's up to the business. They are the one who decides what different levels of testing they want. We can only suggest at what time these can be performed, these tasks. So do the business people accept the results from the executed job stream? Does the application do what the business people want to do? So remember, business people are not that much technical. They are not supposed to run any jobs or workflow. They don't understand what Teradata jobs or what Informatica workflows are, but they have enough knowledge to just identify a defect by seeing the data in the table. So you run the workflow in the UAT. Obviously, you have to do the UAT support. Okay, the environment team will do it. So not the ETL tester. So you run the jobs for them in UAT. You completely populate the data. So even before they do have some level of SQL knowledge. Okay, but even before they test the data with SQL, which generally they don't do, they will just see the data in the table, like there are account IDs or whatever with respect to that account, sub accounts in like banking sector. Just by seeing the data, they will see this is a defect and they will raise it. You have to identify why this column has this data. You will completely backtrack from the fact table to dimension table to staging table, and then which Informatica workflow is running this, is loading this table. Is there any mistake in my mapping? Complete backtrack you have to do. Okay. First, you will check whether the defect was there in SIT or not. That question will come to testing team. Then, if you missed, why you missed? Okay, there would be escalations on that. If you see no, I did, it was correct in SIT, then they may check with development team. There could be some data scenarios. See, mostly in data warehousing, defects does get skipped. The only reason for that is it's very difficult to get 100% correct data in QA for testing. Sometimes you don't have data in production, you will get it from source. You will mock up the data, though data mockup is never encouraged. Okay, as a QA ETL tester, data mockup, source data mockup is out of your scope. But it's not that easy to get the data always from production. Sometimes you don't have it. Okay, so you always mock up the data. You will try to modify the data in such a way that it fulfills your, when your ETL code will run, it will populate some. So like there's an indicator Y for yes, the Y should get populated. So you'll try to modify the data in such a way that your ETL code will be, case statement will be there generally. Generally data is mock up for case statements. If then else. Okay, if state is equal to New York, then Y. If state is equal to Philadelphia, P, else 0, some indicator they will give. So that kind of data you have to prepare in flat files or staging tables, so that these things gets loaded in your target. At least you can verify the util job. So such thing 100% no one can prepare. It's very difficult. So that's why data warehousing projects are very difficult to say 100% successful. They are never impractical. You will always have to give production support for 2-3 months. You will get defects in production, mostly because to get always the proper data, 100% correct data is very difficult in QA. So those defects gets unnoticed because you never had that data. Your ETL code never picks such data that it will convert it and publish it. Right? Getting the point here. So in that, it's not QA team's mistake also. It's just that, okay, fine, it was not there. They will see in another release. Or the production support is a continuous thing which keeps on going. So we had code migration testing, then we had integration testing, which is part of nothing but the functional testing. Then comes the regression testing in that, and then performance testing, then acceptance testing. So quality assurance testing. So this is just a theoretical term. Practically, it doesn't make much sense here. Okay. So how will these programs affect any other programs running in the same production environment? What are the operating instructions for the scheduled automated runs? So you need not to say like quality assurance testing. This becomes part of your integration testing only. Actually, the test cases which you will write. See what happens. I'll give you a practical scenario. Try to imagine this. You developed, suppose you are working in a service company, you developed a warehouse for your client. Okay. At that time, client told that I want to take data from say HR department and finance department only two sources. You loaded the data. Okay. You created all the tables, all the workflows, loaded the data. Final warehouse reporting is doing fine. After a couple of years, since you did a very good job, they were happy. They will come back to you again. They will say, we want to enhance our data warehouse. I want to add one more source. Okay, say marketing team. So they will say, I want to process all my marketing data also. When they process their marketing data, they will say that finance team is common for entire organization. So some of the finance tables which you created before, they will be used by the marketing source also. Okay, so this is a big risk. So you have to do a complete regression testing here. So you have to make sure the existing jobs which are populating the finance tables should not get impacted by new marketing data coming into those tables. Those tables become shared tables. Obviously, you will have new tables to accommodate marketing data, but some of the existing tables might be shared by these, new data. So you have to create some extra columns in that. So your regression scope comes into picture. At the same time, you have to make sure the other jobs does not get, they should not produce any differences. So that is what it says. How will these programs affect any other programs running in the same production environment? What are the operating instructions for the scheduled automated runs? The previous jobs are all auto. See, ETL jobs are always automated. The scheduler will run it for you. Nobody is going to manually trigger it. Like Control M, I told you, is one of the very popular tools. Tivoli workload scheduler from IBM, that is a very popular tool. Okay, so these are all Unix based. So Unix script will run at midnight, 12 o'clock. Okay, and they will extract the complete data from a day before, transform it with respect to ETL code, load your warehouse. Next day business will come, they will simply do their reporting. Happy. So these kind of things should not get affected. So a lot of thinking goes in preparing your test strategy. A lot of discussion goes with development team, architects. It's not like you alone have to do. You can discuss with other people who are in the part of the project, and then you completely write down the document. It will be reviewed by all the business stakeholders. You are the one who will have to speak. You have to fight what you have written. They may question on different factors that, okay, if we don't have this much time, how will you get this much data, access restriction, this and that. So you have to fight for it. You can simply say, otherwise, I cannot produce the quality. So that is where you have to sound very confident as a ETL test lead, okay, or ETL test manager generally goes in these kind of meetings. So fine, I think practical scenarios wise, I have covered, covered these topics, but you can refer these documents. I will share it after this class. Okay. Okay, see, next I would like to cover, we should get started with SQL. Today I shared two PDF files, SQL1 and SQL2, to Yuvraj and Srinivas, both of you, right? So that is Oracle 9i SQL, very old, but we are here to cover only the concepts and only the SQL topics which are relevant with data warehousing. So I do understand that you may be having some basic knowledge of SQL already, but still we will revise that. Okay. So once we have covered these SQL topics, okay, then we will come to actual, like this document is there. I have still not created some of the sample tables in the VPN connection. I couldn't do it yesterday, but I'll do it very soon, maybe today only, so that next time after having covered some of the important SQLs, we will see the different test cases. Like these are one document which we have different test cases. What is the actual result? What is the expected result? So we will have a typical scenarios, and we will try to create some workflows also. And then we'll try to load the data, and we will see how we can test, especially like STD type 2, how we can test insertion of a record, updation of a record, deletion of a record, how we can check duplicates. So all those things then we will see after having covered the SQL. Okay, so probably it might take another one more day like today before we actually go in such kind of things. And also there is some Informatica knowledge is also required before you actually, because if in the class I'll run the workflow, you should understand how the workflow has been created. Okay, so we will go step by step. So when you think of the practical scenario testing in data warehousing, it will take maybe a couple of more classes because we have to cover some important SQL. We have to cover how we can develop a mapping. What are the important transformations with respect to the ETL tool Informatica? Okay, a little bit of Teradata architecture and Teradata scripts. Then later on, I have a lot of practical scenarios from different projects, which obviously we cannot 100% replicate here because that data and huge data is required. But we'll try to create some small tables. Okay, try to replicate those tables with less volume of data, and then we will see. I'll try to replicate exactly those as much as possible. If not, the concept and the scenario will same. The insertion, how it happens, I will check in a very big table also the same way, in a small table also the same way. Okay, so that will always remain. Here it may take 5 minutes, there it may take 1 hour to test in terms of loading and execution of your SQL queries. So that would be the difference. And then another important thing is ETL mapping documents I will share practical, wherein you will get a chance to see what are the real-time scenarios are there and how big a SQL could be, 100 lines, 50 lines, normal. So where you have to perform all the joins and everything. So whatever we have covered, please let me know if any questions you have, and we can discuss before we start with the SQL part. And if any topic which comes to my mind which I think I may not have covered in detail, and likewise if you think or something which got missed or something which will come to my mind, I will definitely cover in between. But to begin with ETL testing and SQL, I have covered what is required in terms of concepts of data warehousing and all. So right now, if any questions are there in your mind, please ask, and then we will start with SQL otherwise. And also, you please take this VPN access and everything from Gangadhar or Ishwar. Okay, please take it. Make sure you are able to log into the machine. You are able to log into the database and everything. Okay, because once I cover a couple of examples, then I'll give you some time to practice, so that you yourself can run it and see. Hands-on is very required. Otherwise, SQL and you will forget in a week's time. So this hands-on practice is very much required. That you can see it's 24-hour open, that machine, till the time our course goes, and maybe after that also you will have access to that for some time. So after the class, I'm not saying like during the class you practice it. Maybe I'll just showcase it to you before we begin the next day class. You can always practice it. So take the access, take the credentials and everything. Okay, keep that ready in the next 2 days time. So any questions as of now?
I'm good, Manish.
Yeah. So I think out of you three only, Shivani, you did one ETL project, like last 3 to 4 months, one project you did, right?
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months. So could you little bit tell me what kind of that project was and what actually you did as an individual contributor in that project?
All I did is write test cases.
You wrote your test cases, right?
Yes.
Did you also execute your test cases? Did you actually test the data in the data warehouse tables?
No.
So who executed the test cases? It was someone else, or you were just
Another tester.
okay? Okay, so your role was just to write the test cases. That's all you had experience with ETL, right?
Yes.
Okay. You are also presently in United States?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, great. So Srinivas and Yuvraj, you can, and Shivani, can you ping me your email ID, because if required from next class onwards, I have to share a couple of documents to you also, so that in class we can you can open that document in front of you, especially the SQL PDFs, and you can refer at your screen also if required. See, first we will cover the SQL on a on a generic level, and then specific to data warehousing. Also, I have a lot of PPTs and all. I'll give you the exact these things, but right now I'm not sure how much knowledge you have in SQL before, or if not at all, then we have to cover all the basics. So just be comfortable, because SQL is very important as a ETL tester. Okay, from interview point of view and from your day-to-day work activities. Okay, that's good. You have used SQL already. So what about you? I think you have done some data testing, Yuvraj, right? And Srinivas, what about you? Have you experienced with SQL before in your projects ever?
Yeah, Manish, I have knowledge on SQL.
You
I
have
used to
before.
be,
Okay.
yeah, I did a database testing in my one of the projects, so I have a little bit of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. That is wonderful, guys. So if you already have exposure to SQL, so these two PDFs, SQL1 and SQL2, okay, this then we can cover quickly. Maybe by tomorrow's class, or maximum by day after, we can cover it. Okay. So the purpose here is just to revise some of the important concepts in SQL, some of the important syntax-wise, what could be become important for in your day-to-day use in data warehousing environment. Also, we should have a knowledge about how to create a table. Okay, so that is very important. In QA, you have to create some temporary tables, okay, to load the data. So such kind of statements also you should know. So here I will just walk through. I'm not going to showcase you any practical as of now. Okay. The reason being, first let's try to cover the topics in SQL which we have to use for our practical classes. Then obviously in our classes we are going to write all the SQLs. So this is just kind of revision, and some of the topics obviously you in database testing or other you may not have covered, which are required for SQL. Okay. So we can open this. I think I'll share right now the SQL one. So the important ones will basically start from joins and this aggregation group by subqueries. Then manipulating data, insert updates. You should know, because in QA when you do some specific scenario, especially for STD type 2, you will get access for insert update and delete also, just to create some temporary tables and test it. Team, let's take a quick 5 minutes break, okay? And then next half an hour we will walk through some of the chapters in SQL, okay? So just a short break for 5 minutes, okay? So my system will be logged in as it is. I'll just come back in 5 minutes, okay? Is it fine?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, hello, Manish.
See, this is something we should know at times. They may ask in interview also, and it's just very basic, but it's very important. If someone asks you, okay, what are the different DDL languages? Okay, so obviously you when you create a table, alter a table, or drop a table. Okay, and so always you should know truncate is very important command. Okay, so truncate is not DML. So truncate is a DDL. Likewise, DML or the data manipulation languages frequently use insert, update, delete, and merge. Okay, merge is something which is it's a conditional insert and update. So it's like update strategy transformation in Informatica, or this becomes important while loading the data. So generally, uh, Informatica is a graphical user interface tool. Okay, unlike Teradata or Microsoft SQL Server integration services. So here you use the transformation like update strategy, but in actual Teradata script or Microsoft SQL Server script, you will write big merge statements. Merge into the target table using your staging table. When matched, then insert. When not matched, then update. Okay, so that is conditional. So you are doing insert first matching. Okay, so when it's matching, you are updating. When it's not matching, you are simply inserting. So merge is very important syntax wise. Then you have transaction control, commit, rollback, save point, grant, revoke. Okay, these you commit and rollback definitely, and save point you will use if you work with Oracle database. See, mostly Oracle will be your source or your staging. So if you do some manipulations, then and generally even when you execute your SQL query with Oracle database, you have to write it commit. Teradata is auto commit always. You apply the query, it will do the insert and update. Here, if you write the insert statement, after that you have to write commit also. Then only it will get committed. The final changes will take place in Oracle database. That is how the mechanism works. So in different databases, there would be little bit tweaks here and there. So distinct keyword we should it will be very frequently used in your data warehousing. Okay, to sometimes to just only check like when the incremental load is there. So how many different load dates are available in your table? Okay, sometime by mistake they will do twice the loading. Okay, for 2 months. So and you want it only for 1 month incremental. So first step you will check is when you actually begin your testing that this is a part of smoke testing. What are the different data load dates are available? So select distinct of that column. So you should be familiar with the distinct command. Okay. Select star will select all your columns, not rows. Otherwise, this chapter is very simple. Okay, this is just a select. Nothing is there in this chapter. this would be mostly part of your interview questions. Okay, and though it looks very simple, but many people gets confused with this, because daily you have to work with nulls, blank spaces, extra characters, whatnot in data warehousing tables. So in in written tests also, or in theoretical, they may ask you what is a null value in a relational database. Okay, never say zero or blank space, otherwise gone. Zero is always an integer. Okay, it has space, and blank space also it's a character. It takes some space. A null is something which you cannot define to that particular field. That is the definition of null. So just be careful. It's very simple but very important. So whenever they define null, see the case statement when it works. Okay, if then else statement. So when I said case state name, okay, state name is the column. When New York, then NY. Okay, when California, then CA. Only you want these two. Okay, else null. Then you end the statement and as state name. Okay, so only when the source file will come, if it will say, okay, if it will get NY, then means it's New York. If it will get CA, it means California. Otherwise, whatever comes except NY and CA, it comes Florida or any other state, it will simply populate null there. So null is something which, as per the business logic, we are not assigning to state column. Okay, so that is null. You cannot populate a zero for that, or you cannot populate a blank space for that. If that is coming, it's a defect. So that is what we try to mean here. So something unavailable, unassigned, unknown, or inapplicable. A null is not the same as zero or a blank space. Zero is a number, okay, and space is a character. Remember this. And generally in primary key columns and all, see, what is the definition of a primary key? Primary key is something which will not have a null value. Okay, there are some constraints applied on that, like not null and primary key. These two constraints basically they prevent nulls from being used in the column. It will give a relational database error. Okay, trying to insert null in a not null column, trying to insert null in a primary key column. Okay, so it will fail your ETL code then and there. Guys, are you able to hear me? I got this notification. You are able to hear me all? Yeah, okay, fine. And then they may ask you, okay, primary key and unique key. So unique key, it may contain, duplicates. That way the value can get repetitive, or null can also be there. Null values in arithmetic expressions. Okay, that is fine. Anything multiplied by null or anything is always null. So any arithmetic expression, if null will be there, the result is always null. So that does not mean it gets zero or something. Obviously, you cannot define. There's something which is not defined. You are trying to multiply or add to that. Obviously, you will get something which you cannot interpret. Okay. So that's why it will come null. So like in this column, commission percent is null for some category of employees, not all. Okay. So you have to be very specific about where you have to implement. Otherwise, as a whole in the table you will employ, it will get null. Select last name 12 into salary into commission percent. It's null for king and poacher. Like they are managers, they may not have commission percent for their intended job role. Only the sales employee may have commission percent. So only these employees value is coming. Here it is not coming. That does not mean that 12 into salary is zero for them. No. If you add a commission percent to that, it will not come. Then
Manish, we cannot hear you anything. Manish? Ishwa, can you hear Manish?
Hmm. Hmm. Heart attack.